Um, Lynn, we've had a board meeting fairly recently. Has anything come up that you want to tell the group about or other developments?
Well, something that we are working on, and Rob is working on it. There's a few of us, our Giving Tuesday campaign, which we will be getting going right here in the next 2 weeks or so. That's where we did it last year with some success, and it's right after, it's a Tuesday right after Thanksgiving is the actual Giving Tuesday day, but I think we're gonna try to make it a giving season, perhaps, and extend it, not just Giving Tuesday, but a season. We're planning to send out a mailer, a direct postcard, to make it really easy, not trying to focus on just a Facebook contribution, but the several ways that our members, our friends, can donate to us during the holiday season. So that, I think, is the next kind of big thing coming up in terms of something different. And then we have a board meeting on November 8th.
Okay, thank you. That reminds me that we have, I think our next, what shall I say, not training session, our intake session is on December 1st. Is that correct? Let's see.
You're referring to the information meeting?
The information meeting, yeah, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's December 1st. And we are tentatively planning the next tutor talk for January 7th.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
Has anybody experienced or been part of the Torrance Adult School? And the reason I ask is most of my students have been in the school, and I've asked them about the classes, and they say they're usually 40 to 50 students in a class. And I just wondered if anybody's got some information. I can't see that being too effective in teaching language, ESL, but anybody have any comments on that?
Joanne Lee on here was the teacher there.
Yeah, I retired about 6 years ago, but I continued to be a substitute until right before the pandemic. February 2020 was the last time I actually was in the classroom.
Okay.
But the demand is there, especially for higher level students. As far as I know, when I was there, it was kind of like leaning toward the more advanced students that signed up. And I don't know what the situation is now, but when the pandemic hit, most of the classes went online. And I think most of them are still online. There might be one or two that are in person. So that's all I know. You have any specific questions?
Well, I just wondered how effective. I mean, we're tutoring maybe 4 students, max 4 or 5. They've got 50 in a classroom. And I'm just wondering how effective that could be.
Well, they can learn. I mean, it really depends a lot on the student itself, himself, how much effort they want to put into it. And the teachers, and especially they will present the material, so the students would, know what the material is, and then the students would practice among themselves. That's a typical thing. The students would practice among themselves, and the teachers, and if they're lucky to have an assistant, walk around listening to the students to make sure they got it. And so, okay. Presentation, and then students get to practice, and then teachers would check to make sure that they're practicing correctly, and then at the end they would, come together again. So, and then especially at a higher level, the students would be working in groups. They would have just like a breakout room, like they would be in groups, and they would, do, any sort of activities in groups. Okay. So it kind of like, practice among each other, basically.
Okay, thanks. I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I interfaced with Stephanie and Barry there, and Deborah and I hopped on a call with her in February. But I haven't done a great job at continuing that bridge interface over there. So I can reply to this thread that's going on. I really haven't reached out since February, but they did share a whole library of EL Civics teaching content. If anyone's interested, I can shoot you a link to that. Or there's stuff through casas.org also, which is a training and assessment program that helps students who are pursuing a higher level of English, but want to demonstrate that to employers. So I'll bridge that. I'll take that as an action item.
Thank you. David, I think was first, and then Deborah.
I was going to, and I did work at that Torrance Adult School for a while too, before the pandemic, just as a volunteer, sort of helping out in the classroom. And what they did, I never saw any class, well, I didn't see a lot of the classroom, but they weren't 50, but they were 20 or 30. They were a large number, much larger than we typically have, much larger than we typically have. But they did, as John was describing, in the one I principally volunteered, he structured had them grouped into groups of 4 or 5, and how the tables worked out. And he would present some topic, and then they would separate into their groups and practice that topic. And that's where the volunteers, or several volunteers, would come in. We would sit with one group and help them with pronunciation or whatever it happened to be. And also the instructor that I was with, he used a video system with a camera that was focused right on his mouth. So when he was talking about pronunciation, you could see his mouth. He was quite animated, very interesting, kind of strange. I think many of the students were strange, but they enjoyed it and they found it useful.
Thank you.
The pronunciation of the sounds come
Well,
from.
just from the perspective of a student, one of my students, now is going 5 days a week to Torrance Adult School. The advantage of it is that it's within walking distance of her home, because there are so many different adult schools. And so she goes to the one over by Charles Wilson Park. They meet other people and hopefully make some friendships and build some relationships. But I agree with you. I don't think I think what we offer is an augmented niche that is invaluable in truly listening and being and forming connections with students in small groups. And that continues to be our continued partnership, and why we dovetail so nicely with the Torrance Adult School, because they do offer a lot of larger resources. And some of our volunteers in the past, Maria, for instance, couldn't get a student for a long time. So she went over to the Torrance Adult School like David did and volunteered, and they're very open to that.
Okay, thank you. Lainey?
Yeah, I think Torrance Adult School also has its own volunteer program. And in my mind, I think the ideal situation is for them to attend classes at Torrance Adult School and then get their conversation practice with us, you know. But my Portuguese student just enrolled in Torrance Adult School, so he's going there, and he told me he joined it because he needs that incentive, that class incentive. He won't do homework out of class. So he's got to go to class in order to get the practice. And they're using a book called Ventures, VENTURES. I looked online to see if I could get a free version of it. I couldn't find anything, but it's probably just like every other book. So yeah. He says he learns more from me than them, but I think he was just humoring me.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else?
Another shout out to Carol McQuarrie. I don't know if she's still on, but she does the information meetings the first Thursday every other month on Zoom. She is an excellent presenter, and also she has done a lot of research on pronunciation, and I know she has helped with a Tutors talk. So we have some incredibly valuable people who volunteer and dedicate so much time to us.
Carol is still on and very humbly accepting that.
Thank you, Carol. Do you want to say something?
Carol?
You might be muted. Sheila?
Carol Jacobson signed off. I don't know.
I just wanted to say Jack mentioned our next Tutors talk will be January 7th. What Mary Ann had suggested, and we liked it, was next meeting will be just tutors talking. And we're just going to do a free flowing what's going on with you, what problems, suggestions. For me, what I would like to cover is what I would do differently if I was starting over and challenges we run into. So basically, that's what we would like to do for the next tutors talk. So keep in mind and think about what you would like to talk about in our next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who has been able to stay. We're at an hour and a half now. And to respect your time, I think it's time to end with thanks. So we will see you at the next Tutors Talk on January 7th or sooner. Have good holidays.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Jack.
Jack.
Goodbye.